guys, so I've been getting a few questions on how to read the surf and just how to generally tell where the holes are and where the sandbars are. So I'm going to do that really quick before we get into the fishing. So if you look here, there's some dark water where there's not as much white water, and then right here there's some white water where there's a lot of suds, a lot of waves breaking. So right here in this white water, that's typically a sandbar. And if you look out even farther, you can see some waves breaking. That's another sandbar. But right inside there, right in this little area where the water is darker, not as much white water, that's the deep hole right there. And I'd estimate that this sandbar, that water is probably like 2 to 3 foot deep. And right in here, that can be 4 to 5, if not more, feet deep. And a lot of times, that's where these surf perch tend to school up, or the striped bass tend to school up. And that's a lot of times where I like to start my fishing. So just a quick little introduction there. If you guys have any other questions or want me to go in more detail, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But until then, let's get right onto the fishing. Alright guys, I'm going to start this video off with a little story. So, on this day 4 years ago, in this very spot, I caught my biggest surf perch bag ever. The limit on surf perch here is 10. I had 10 fish, and they were probably close, if not over 20 pounds. I mean, over half of them were 2-pounders, and they're all just good quality fish. It was just non-stop action. And I've come back to this spot here today. Probably not going to match that, but hey, you never know, we might catch a good fish. So, got the my flash minnow tied on. I fully intended to come out here and throw sand crabs because that's what I got that monster bag on. But I just couldn't resist to throw this at least first thing in the morning. So we're going to try it out for a little bit, and yeah, we'll see what we can catch. Alright, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. And whenever I'm throwing lures in the surf, my most productive times are either early in the morning before the sunrise or late in the evening after the sunset. And just generally, I feel like the best times for catching fish on the lure, whether it be a flash minnow, an SP minnow, Taskmaster, whatever you're throwing, is those low light conditions. So if there's ever time to catch one on this flash minnow, it's going to be this morning, which is why I've started with it today. And only time will tell. Ooh, fish on already. Look at that. I knew it. First thing in the morning with the lure. That's why I like throwing it first thing. So if you go the other way, you're bound to not catching it. Look at that. Not a giant, but that's a quality surf perch. We'll let this one go. Oh, quick release. Quality surf perch there on the flash minnow. I think I was only like my 3rd cast, so we're definitely gonna keep at it. We'll let this guy go real quick. Keep at it. That's a good sign. Ice cold out here this morning. When I left my car, it was 44 degrees. But that's not going to stop me from wearing shorts like that out here in the surf. There we go. Number 2. It's getting a little bit sunnier out here, but we're still managing to get some on this lucky craft here. I don't think this is a very big one. Oh, not bad. It's a quality fish, probably about 12, 13 inches or so, a little bit bigger than the first one. Alright, there's fish number 2, probably about 11, 12 inches, something like that, on the lucky craft. Just inhaled that back end of it there. Nice quality fish. This one swallowed the hook, so it's going to be bleeding a little bit. We'll take this guy home for a nice dinner. Good old lucky craft strikes again. Alright, that's 2 in about 30 minutes on the lucky craft, so we're going to keep throwing it. Maybe we'll entice a big one to hit here. So one of the biggest problems with this lure, or one of the issues that people have, is that it doesn't cast very far. And that's why it's so important to find a good spot where it's got a deep hole close to shore. And that's why it's another reason why it's important to be able to read the beach. So that's what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. You got troughs you got holes, you got sandbars. So hopefully you can use the knowledge that you gained from the beginning of this video to determine where those holes are, where those sandbars are, and use that to help you catch some fish. And I can't stress enough, when you're fishing the surf, you can't just stick to one spot. These fish, they could be 5 holes on the beach. One hole has all the fish, and then just like a few fish in the other 4 holes. I've seen it so many times, and there's really no rhyme or reason as to why those fish are in one certain hole, at least to my knowledge, other than you just got to try them all out, try and find those fish. And even sometimes they're not in the hole, sometimes they're on the sandbar out feeding on those sand crabs. So it really pays to cover a lot of water when you're fishing the surf, especially for surf perch. I find is they can be really finicky and really schooled up in one spot, and if you can find that spot, that's when you can have one of those banner days out here in the surf. Alright guys, wouldn't be a Diary fishing video without some kind of camera mishap. So unfortunately on this fish we didn't have the GoPro running as well as we would have hoped, so that clip is not in here. But luckily I had my big camera running from behind. It's a little bit small, but you can see we get the gist of it. Slam the lure right in close to shore, and I'll let the rest of the video do the talking. Right there. I think this is actually my biggest surf perch ever on the Lucky Craft so far. Got to be at least probably 14 inches. But yeah, just a nice fish there. So I'm testing out a new GoPro, so I'm not sure if it got the clip or not, but if not, here's that last fish that we caught right out here in the surf. And I just measured it 15 inches from tip to tip. Not too bad, it's still early. We've only been fishing for maybe an hour, a little bit over an hour. And we've got 3 quality fish, 1 that we let go, and then 2 keepers. So let's get right back in there. Trying to, I just had my line in the water and it got slammed. That was crazy. Nearly took the rod out of my hand. Oh yeah, another quality surf perch. That might even be bigger than the last one. Alright guys, check it out, another solid surf perch. About maybe a touch smaller, maybe the same size as that last one. Another good fish, and it's hitting it when I least expect it. Seems to be that's how you always catch them. But look at that quality fish there. Nice 13, 14 incher, at least probably 14. Say 14 incher right there. We'll stick them in the bag. We want to get our line back out there. It seems to be pretty good right now, so we got to get them while they're there. I'm glad I had my camera on because I was literally looking to the left here, not even paying attention, and that fish nearly just yanked the rod right out of my hand. He just slammed it. And that's kind of the reason why a lot of people like to use lures. That's why I like to use lures in the surf as opposed to fishing bait, is just feeling that hit. Can't really describe it, but it's just something you don't get when you're fishing with bait. Alright guys, just cast it out here for another 30 minutes or so, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's a little bit flatter than it was when I first got here. The tide's gone out a little bit. When I first got here, I think it was right at high tide, so obviously moved out a couple of feet, so I'm going to try a different spot down the beach a little ways that I think has a little bit deeper water that maybe we'll find a few more fish in. Alright guys, spot number 2. I don't know if you can see right in there. There's some deep water close to shore. I got a feeling there's going to be some fish in it, but don't want to talk for too long. The tide's still going out, so I want to get out there before we lose the fishable water. So let's see if there's any fish out there. There we go, there's a fish. That feels like a good one. They used to move spots, like I was saying. Just didn't have any confidence in that other spot. Felt like there wasn't enough water. Moved over to this one here, and immediately, probably my 4th or 5th cast in, hooked up on what I think is a nice perch here. Trying to keep my back to the wind here so it's not too bad. There we go. Another quality fish. Sure enough, new spot. Ouch. New spot, 5 minutes into fishing. Boom, got ourselves another quality surf perch here. Probably in the 12, 13 inch range. It's got a little mark up the top there. Must have been hit by some kind of predator, maybe another fish, maybe a bird. These fish, when you hook them, they fight so strong in this surf. I don't know if it's because they have that flat body, they're really tall, really wide, so they can catch the water real well, or if it's just because they live their whole lives in the waves here, just building up all that strength. But if these fish got to 10 pounds, 20 pounds, dude, these things would spool you like it's nothing. We don't have GTs out here on the West Coast. Our water's too cold, but in my mind, these are kind of like our mini GTs. They just fight so strong out here. All right, guys, pains me to say this, but I gotta get out of here, so this is gonna be the end of the fishing for me. I'm already super late, and I got a little bit of a walk back to the car, so. All in all, a pretty good day out here in the surf. Hope you guys learned a little bit about reading the water, fishing with the Lucky Craft Flash Minnow. I'll leave this guy linked in the description below. It's definitely a quality lure out here in the surf. It turned in one of my favorites out here. And it definitely worked today. I mean, there was probably 10 other fishermen out here, and I only saw one other decent fish. Other than that, everyone's fish were smaller than my smallest fish. And gotta credit that to the Lucky Craft. So check it out, link in the description. And perch season's just about to heat up, so highly recommend add this to your tackle box. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.